Welcome to Making a Murderer, Rubberducky YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me again today on our daily MaM reading. We're doing the CASO Investigative Reports, pages 281 through 290, part 29. Page 281. Any serial numbers. That was a number printed on the side of the box which stated body number. The number was 9411A 001AA. Investigation continues. Mark Wiegert, investigator, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 282. Type of activity, supplemental report. Date of activity, 11:05:05. Reporting officer, investigator, Wendy Baldwin. On 11:05:05 at approximately 1700 hours, Special Agent Kim Skorlinski of DCI and I. Baldwin made contact with Blaine Dassey at the Cedar Ridge restaurant. Special Agent Skorlinski had spoken to Barbara Yonda, and she agreed to bring Blaine to the restaurant to ask him a few questions that had to be clarified. See Skorlinski's report for details on the interview. Investigator Wendy Baldwin, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 283. Type of activity, interview of following. Andreas F. Martinez, date of birth 101/09/63. Date of activity 11/16/05. Reporting officer, investigator Wendy Baldwin. On 11/16/05, Special Agent Kim Skorlinski and I. Baldwin made contact with Andreas F. Martinez at the Manitowoc County Jail. Andreas was interviewed about possible contact he may have had with Steven Avery. See Special Agent Kim Skorlinski's report on details of that interview. On 11/16/05 at approximately 13:45 hours, Special Agent Kim Skorlinski and I made contact with Blank at Mishicot High School. Blank was hesitant at first with providing any information about her contact and relationship with Steven Avery, however, did agree to answer some questions. I asked Blank to describe Steven, and she said he was fun, outgoing, and she enjoyed hanging out with him. She said Steven was close to Barbara and his dad, Alan. She said she hasn't seen him get very angry that much. However, has only known him for the last 2 years he has been out of prison. She said that she did go along with her dad, Earl Avery, to see Steven in prison. However, she didn't know him and never talked to him. I asked Blank what Steven liked to do, and she said he enjoyed going up north to the cabin and going fishing. I asked Blank how many times she had been at Steven's trailer, and she said just 2 times, and one of the times was to celebrate when he got out of prison on 09/11/03. She said she saw him mainly in the auto salvage yard when she worked on cars. Blank said that she would tear off aluminum and tear down the motors and transmissions, and has been doing that for about the last year and 1/2. Page 284. Blank said currently she isn't working at the salvage yard but is attending cosmetology school part-time. She was going to stay home to help her mom, and dad out with bills before going to school full-time. I asked Blank about her relationship with Steven. She said they would just hang out together. However, recently within about the last year and 1/2, Steven has been seeing Jody Stajowski. She said after Steven was released from prison, he lived in the ice shanty for a short time, and Jody was the only girlfriend that she knew about since he had been out of prison. Initially, Blank had stated that Steven has never come on to her sexually. However, there was an investigation done approximately a year prior that revealed some photographs as well as a letter. I questioned Blank about those things, and she said there was touching between her and Steven. She said on one occasion he had come on to her in her aunt's basement. This was Barb Yonda's residence, which is next door to Steven's residence. She said that he had touched her underneath her clothing and did later admit that Steven had touched her underneath her bra on her breast area as well as her under her panties. Blank said she told Barbara about this, and Barbara said, "Don't worry, it won't happen again." But it did. She said Steven also made comments about his sex life with Jody or what he would do to her, and she thought that was very sick. She did admit to being up north at the cabin and having a marker fight. However, nothing became of that. She said after the incident at Barbara's house, she did get creeped out by Steven, and that is when she decided not to have contact with him anymore. She said her mom and dad would never allow Steven to stay overnight or be around her alone. I asked if Steven ever exposed himself to her, and she said she would hear him unzip his pants and tell her to look, but she would look away. She said she never saw his penis but assumed by what he was doing that he was exposing himself. She said Stephen also tried to put her hand down his pants. She said he also did try to manipulate her into having feelings for him and stated it was okay with what he was doing for her, but they were not blood related. She said he would try to kiss her and touch her and she would push him away. One time at Barbara's house, Stephen tried to kiss her by holding her head so she couldn't move when she was sleeping over. She told Barbara about this. She did admit at one point she didn't know if she had feelings for him because of what he was telling her. She felt he was brainwashing her. Blank said after she would deny Stephen, he would get very down in the dumps and would feel very bad about what he did. And the next day he would be normal and would not try to come on to her. And then 2 days later he would be completely opposite again. Blank said Stephen never talked about using handcuffs or leg cuffs on her, nor did he talk about tying her up. She said he did comment that the best sex he had was with Jody. Blank recalled that Stephen would not take no for an answer. She said when he put his hand under her shirt, she would pull it out and say no, but he would do it again. Page 285. I asked Blank if she ever had sexual intercourse with Stephen, and Blank did not answer the question and wanted to leave the interview at that time. The interview was concluded at approximately 14:25 hours. Wendy Baldwin, investigator, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 286. Type of activity, interview of Thomas H. Kocourek. Date of activity, Wednesday, 11/16/05. Reporting officer, investigator, Wendy Baldwin. On 11/16/05 at approximately 15:35 hours, Special Agent Kim Skorlinski of DCI and I, Baldwin, met with Thomas H. Kocourek, date of birth 12/05/45, at his place of employment, the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Manitowoc. Thomas informed us he was the executive director for the Big Brothers Big Sister programs for Manitowoc. Thomas said he retired in 2001 as a sheriff for Manitowoc County. He said he had a total of 22 years in law enforcement. We informed Thomas the reason we needed to speak with him was because Special Agent Kim Skorlinski had briefly talked to Steven Avery the week prior to his arrest, and had informed Kim the only person he could think of that would have framed him was the ex-sheriff of Manitowoc County. Thomas said that he was never out at the Avery residence either on or near the date of 10/31/05. Thomas said that even though he was curious what was happening with the case, he never wanted anything to do with the case or any kind of contact with Manitowoc County or Calumet County Sheriff's Departments. Thomas said he had worked the hours of 9 to 5 on Monday, 10/31/05, which was Halloween. Thomas did provide a printout of his activities that day, however, could not specify the times he had the appointments. Tom said in the evening hours after 5 p.m., he was home with his wife and had gone to the nursing home to visit his wife's mother with the granddaughter. Thomas did remember taking pictures of his granddaughter in a ladybug costume and had called his wife while they were there to confirm that. Well, we were there to confirm that. I again asked Thomas if he had any involvement with Teresa Halbach or knew anything about her. Thomas said no, he did not know her, was not involved, and did not want anything to do with the case. The interview was concluded at approximately 15:50 hours. Wendy Baldwin, investigator, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 287. Type of activity, contact with DirecTV. Date of activity, 11/16/05. Reporting officer, investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Wednesday, 11/16/05, at 10:30 hours, I, Dietering, did make contact with DirecTV's customer service at 800-531-5000. The purpose of my call was to determine whether Steve Avery's DirecTV contained any sort of package to allow him to watch adult programming without a pay-per-view option. I was told that Avery's package is a total choice package, and he has receivers in his office, 2 in bedrooms, and 1 in his living room. I was advised that the only pay-per-view TV program or movie that Avery had ever been billed for was a movie called Grunge that was provided to him on 04/14/05 at 3:19 p.m. This movie was apparently watched in the office. I was advised that Avery's bill is normally $93.42 per month, and he has never been late with the payment. The representative advised me there was no pay-per-view activity on 10/31/05. She advised me the pay-per-view adult channels are in the high 500s at $5.93, $5.95, $5.99, etc. She stated the channels that are in the lower 500 range are HBO, Cinemax, etc. She advised me she could not really tell me what was being programmed on 10/31/05. I was advised I could send a request for programming for 10/31/05 to DirecTV's corporate office at 2230 East Imperial Highway, El Segundo, California, 90245. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 288. Type of activity, contact with Toyota Customer Service Center. Date of activity, 11/16/05. Reporting Officer Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Wednesday, 11/16/05 at 11:09 hours, I, Dietering, did make contact with Toyota Customer Service Center at 800-331-4331. I spoke with a representative named Don and asked him if he could tell me how many vehicles would have to be built by Toyota Motor Corporation before the ignition and door locks would be replicated or, in other words, used again. He indicated he does not have that information, but he believed it would be in the hundreds of thousands. At 11:27 hours, I did contact Lawrence Brzezinski, who is a representative of the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Brzezinski services this particular area of Wisconsin, and I have had prior professional contacts with him. Brzezinski advised me he would do some checking and would have a representative contact me. At 14:21 hours, Donna Koenig, who is a contact person for Toyota and also represents NITB, contacted me. I had provided Brzezinski with the vehicle identification number for Hallbox 1999 Toyota RAV4. Koenig advised me the key code for Hallbox RAV4 is 14070. She advised me the key code for the door locks could be located on the lock cylinder on the passenger side of the door. She states you can access this code by rolling down the window and inserting a mirror or by removing the door panel. She stated Toyota used this particular lock cylinder every 5,000 builds. She indicated the key system is not specific to just RAV4s and told me the cylinder is used once in every 5,000 vehicles Toyota builds. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 289. Type of activity, contact with Paul Metz. Date of activity, 11/18/05. Reporting Officer Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On 11/15/05, investigators received a note from Captain Rush indicating he had received an overnight voicemail from Paul Metz at 776-1753. The note indicates that on the night of 11/01/05, he heard a big whoosh and thought it was a power company problem. On 11/18/05, I, Dietering, did leave a voicemail for Mr. Metz's machine and advised him to contact me on my cell phone. On 11/18/05 at 15:43 hours, I did receive a telephone call from the following subject regarding this matter: Paul J. Metz. Metz indicated he has had property approximately 4½ miles due north of Avery's Auto Salvage Yard. He indicated that on 11/01/05 at approximately 17:30 hours, He had been feeding cattle on his property. He stated he heard a loud whoosh and indicated it reminded him of incidents where he had poured gasoline or other highly volatile substances on a fire. Metz stated that approximately 10 minutes later he smelt something that was similar to wires burning. However, he indicated the smell was not that. He was unable to describe it, but stated it was a very vile smell. He stated the cows had gotten very spooked, and he could not get the cows back under control, and they had damaged the fence. Metz stated he had been in contact with WPS that evening, and there were no problems with power outages. He stated the wind was blowing out of the south or southwest. He indicated his property is located at the intersection of Jumbo Creek and Zander Road. He advised me he is usually at the property should I choose to speak with him further. Investigation continues. Page 290, Investigator John Datering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. All right, let's go ahead and start a review. We're on page 282. And I find it interesting that Blaine, when he's interviewed, is always accompanied by an adult. So he's always got somebody there on his side, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's Barbara, whoever it be, he's always got somebody. And remember, both kids get off the bus at the same time. So if Brendan has seen the victim, Teresa, then so would have Blaine. But yet Blaine holds his own. Nope, I did not see her. She wasn't there. If she wasn't there, then how did Brendan see her? And I find it interesting that this special agent, Skorlinski, his files, his reports are not available to my knowledge. So that makes it a little bit difficult. And then we're doing interviews of following Andreas Martinez. And again, we don't get to see the interview because Kim Skorlinski is a special agent. You got it. It goes on to talk to somebody that says they're at the high school, the Mishcot High School, and we do find out who this individual is because she said that she did go along with her dad, Earl Avery. So it's Earl Avery's daughter, okay? And this is Marie. And she says, I asked him how many times she had been, or he said, how many times had she been to Stephen's trailer? She reported twice, just once on the day he got out of prison, which was 9/11/03. And then most of the times she saw him at the auto salvage yard where she worked on cars. And on page 284, she goes on to say that Stephen, when he was released from prison, lived in an ice shanty for a short time, and that Jody was his only girlfriend that she knew about since he was out of prison. She does say that he tried to manipulate her into having feelings for him and stated it was okay what he was doing with her because they weren't blood related. Now, keep in mind, this is Earl's daughter, so we're talking family here. Again, I'm not so sure that we can trust this to be on the up and up. She says she told Barb about this. She did admit at one point she didn't know if she herself had feelings for him because of what he was telling her, and she felt like he was brainwashing her. So then on page 286, we get a big interview. This is Thomas Kocourek. Now, Kocourek was the sheriff in 2001. Well, in 1985, I should say. He was the sheriff when Steven Avery was arrested for the Penny Bernstein attempted rape and murder, which he was wrongfully convicted of. He was actually innocent. And Steven has stated that that's who he would think would have tried to frame him, is this ex-sheriff of Manitowoc, which was Thomas Kocourek. Now, I find it interesting, if any of you know what we've heard about Kocourek, he shot his brother-in-law in the head. His brother-in-law did not press charges and lived to tell the tale. There's also others stories that go along with it, with molestation down in basements of their homes, all kinds of stuff. So I find it very concerning when it says that he informed them, Thomas informed the investigators, that he's the executive director for Big Brothers and Big Sisters program for Manitowoc. How's that? Boy, I tell you, that is just scary. Thomas says he was never out at the Avery residence, either near or on October 31st. Then let's see, what else do we have? Page 88. John Dietering talking to the Toyota customer service. This one has me thoroughly confused. So he's asking the customer service rep how many vehicles would have to be built by Toyota before the ignition and the door locks would be replicated. In other words, that same lock would be used again. Now, Koenig advised him the key code for Hallbox RAV4 is 14070. This is on the 16th. Why do they need the key code when the vehicle was left open? It left the Avery property locked. We have a lot of people verifying that that vehicle was locked and they had no key. They find the key on the 8th, so they should be able to open that vehicle. Plus, before that, it gets to the crime lab on the 6th, and Grofey, who's taken the photographs of the initial investigation of the RAV before anybody touches it, taking pictures like they should have done the bones, he reports that the driver's door is unlocked and open. He was able to get in no problem. So what is this about? Why do they need that key code? And then on page 289, we're talking with Paul Metz as John Dietering, and he just goes back over that same thing that we just previously read. He's talking about being 4.5 miles away from Avery Auto Salvage Yard. He indicated that around 5:30 p.m., he was feeding cattle on his property. He heard a loud whoosh, and it reminded him of somebody pouring gasoline or some high voltage substance on a fire. He stated that approximately 10 minutes later, he smelled something that was similar to wires burning. However, he indicated the smell was not that. His cows got so freaked out and spooked that they damaged the fences. And he also states where his property is between Jambo Creek and Sander Road. So let's take a look at that. And now I want to see how far that is from Avery's, which is 12932. Avery Road, and I think it's in Gibson. Even though most of us believe it's Two River, it actually lists out. So look how far away we are. We're 4.6 miles, just like he says. Okay, I get it. And a 10-minute drive. So, geez, guys, he says that he's right in here. That gives us an idea. Let's look at a satellite view of it. Give it just a minute. And, so I wonder what he's smelling. You know, he is an electrician. He's going to tell us that in a different report when Dietering, I believe, interviews him. So that's quite a while. That's quite a drive. And he smells it the closer he gets to Zander Road. It really bothers me because we have the for sale sign with 3302 Zander Road, seeing Steve Avery's place. And it's not his handwriting, but it does have Teresa Hallbach's cell number written on it. Is that her hustle shot? And he's claiming this happens on the 1st. Well, that concludes part 29 of our daily MaM reading of the CASO Investigative Reports. And as always, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support for Brendan and Stephen, as well as our channel itself. Keeping them in the light, keeping them safe. This is what we're doing. And look how poorly this investigation has been run so far. We're finding out that a lot of people that are telling stories, such as the witnesses, are contradicting themselves. Like Mike O. That's a big one for me. If you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Thank you and have a lovely evening.